Hello and welcome to Meet a Columban. Our guest today is Jerry Lohera from the Philippines. Now, we wish to congratulate Jerry because recently he was ordained a deacon, and this comes just 9 years after he first joined the Columban formation program. He comes from Mindanao in the southern part of the Philippines, and he came to the Columbans first, I believe, because he made an application to join his local diocese and something went wrong and he wasn't admitted. But nevertheless, he'd been thinking about becoming a priest for some time, and at the suggestion of a friend, he applied to come to the Columbans. So welcome, Jerry, and we're really glad to be able to welcome you and glad that you did make that decision to come. And also congratulations on your ordination to the diaconate.
Thank you, Father Jim. Thank you for having me in this Meet a Columban.
You're most welcome, Jerry. We're really pleased to have you here today. Now, it's been a long road from when you first joined up with the Columbans to being with us here today, and being with us here today as a deacon, well on your way to be ordained a priest. What will that be, next year or towards the end of this year? So could you tell us something about this mysterious story of how you tried to join your diocese and was not able to, and then at suggestion of someone applied to the Columbans and got accepted?
Yes, it was an interesting story because when I was in high school, I already have that strong desire to become a priest. But even prior to that, even when I was in elementary, my sisters always remind me, when they watch my ordination, that when I was, in grade 1 or grade 2, people was already asking me, what would you want to become when you're already, um, grow old? And then I told them that I wanted to become a priest, and they just laughed. And they just laugh at me because, of course, I don't know actually where is that coming from in myself. It just comes into my mind. I'm not very close to the church either. So yeah, but in the high school, I exert much effort to really enter, but I don't have any connection in the seminary. I don't have any idea how to go, people. So because of that, I'll just study in college. Then, but it's a continuous discernment until I finish college and work, and the discernment is always there. So it was a continuing discernment in a way.
When you finished school and finished college, you went to work for a while. And what kind of work were you doing?
I was a medical representative. Most of the companies actually is the medical representatives are the one who, sell medicines to the
That's right.
hospitals, to the doctors. But in my case particularly it's more on the disposable materials, machines that the hospitals use. So
Oh,
that's yeah. So that's what I did before. I worked for almost 2 years, and it was a very meaningful experience because I have a whole lot of exposures with people where I didn't really expect to have that before. So somehow it was a kind of a good training ground, meeting people and establishing relationships somehow. Yeah.
and that was pretty heavy duty stuff. And it must have been quite a sudden change to move from that kind of occupation every day to becoming a Columban student. So where did you begin?
Yeah, I started in 2012. I was accepted by the Columbans, and I was very happy because at that time I already feel like this is already somehow the beginning of the fulfillment of my dream when I was young, and but it was not an easy journey for me in the formation. It's always like discovering the self, and I'm very much critical to myself, right? Than others. Others may kind of say good things to me, but I'm kind of dismissive. So I have to work on that. It was in a hard way that I learned, but I was very thankful that the formation helped me out, providing spiritual direction, vocation growth counseling, pastoral works, studies. So it's really like a complete package, and it helps me a lot to grow as a person, as a future Columban missionary priest.
So these things took place in the Philippines. Of course, you chose to join a missionary society, and you understood when you joined that your future would not particularly always be in the Philippines, in your homeland.
Mhm.
And for a period, you were sent to Pakistan,
Mhm.
where you had to study, work, learn about new culture, new language. It's a tough place. I think in the Columbans, we regard Pakistan as one of the most difficult places that you can be sent to. But you look like a
Yeah.
tough guy, and you now comb your hair like a Pakistani. So, so
Yeah.
how did you find like your first beginning when you first arrived in Pakistan? What how did it strike you? It's a radically different scenario and vision and different type of cities, different type of countryside from what you've been accustomed to.
Yeah, absolutely. When we arrived in Islamabad, 10 p.m. in the evening, and Father Tomas King was there, fetching us. And then when we were already in the taxi, and then the taxi driver asked him, "Where are we going?" And then he told to the taxi driver, "Kabul, Kabul, in Afghanistan. We're going to Afghanistan." So he was shocked because Kabul is not as far, from Islamabad going there, but there is no way of traveling by taxi going there. But yeah, we just traveling on the city and stay in a place of the presentation sisters. And then, yeah, for me, when I actually step down from the airplane, I can really feel it. This is a different place. I know nothing about place. I don't know people about this place. What will happen to me, here? But eventually, when I studied the language, I really enjoyed studying the language. And then afterwards, working in the parish with the Columbans, Father Dan O'Connor and Father um, Tony Kavanagh. So I'm working with them in the parish, working in the tribal people. Also brings a great challenge in myself because although I grew up in a poor family, but I haven't seen such poverty in the place of Christians in the southern part of Pakistan in Sindh, where they just live on the desert, and it's always challenging for them to live, day by day. It struck me the reality of mission. It's somehow painful to see. It's a struggle for me to be able to accompany them, but eventually they're very much open, they're very much friendly, hospitable people, and that brings me like also enjoy with the whole experience. And to the point that even until now, it's always been my hope that the Columbans will send me back there in Pakistan.
Now, Jerry, there are different ways of being poor or different areas of life that we can be struck with poverty.
Mhm.
And you mentioned that in your family, when you grew up, you were poor,
Mhm.
but poor in a different way from the people that you encountered in Pakistan.
Mhm.
Could you compare different areas where you judge your family to have been poor, where
Mhm.
maybe the people in Pakistan were not, and
Mhm.
ways in which the people in Pakistan were poor that maybe your family was not poor?
Mm. Yeah, like for example, in my place in Mindanao, there's a plenty of land. There is a good weather, rain. So it's just on the person to really work on the farm and or go to fishing. And so nature always provides, good harvest yearly, but that requires a lot of hard work. But in this place of Pakistan, where water is very scarce, people don't have water. They can't plant because it's all dry, and they are also that low caste people where they cannot own the land, and unless the Catholic Church will work on the place and give them the place to work. Otherwise, they just they just work on the big landowners, and they're treated very unfairly. So yeah, it's a hard thing for them. It's a difficult thing for them to live in that regard, where most of the lands are, you know, run by these big
Big
landowners.
landowners like the
Mhm.
hacienderos and people like that.
Yes, yes,
The
yes.
what did you learn to enjoy most in Pakistan, do you think?
I particularly enjoy going to the villages. We usually like almost every day going to the villages, visiting families, having a conversation with them, uh, and they are very accommodating, very welcoming, very receptive to the message of the gospel, and that somehow I enjoy going to the villages. And also, there is a clinic there that the Columbans, there's a clinic in the parish where I also work every week. And there in the clinic, I used to meet with all the sick people, Christians, Muslims, Hindus. And yeah, one experience actually that remind me is an old man went there in the afternoon, and then they're just waiting outside because there's a kind of a queue. And then the next time that we know is he's already dead outside. So he will rush to the hospital, and the family was really like shocked because of the incident. They didn't able to see it coming. So we're very sad on that experience, and we went to the family. We offer our condolences. We pray with this Hindu family, and yeah, it's a very humbling experience to be able to accompany not only the Christians but most particularly to the Hindus, which is also, you know, very poor and in low caste in that part of Pakistan. So yeah.
And of course, the other thing you must have found quite different growing up in the Philippines, which is largely a Catholic country,
Mhm.
or where many people are Catholic, and then moving to a place like Pakistan where few people are Catholic.
Mhm.
Did you find that difficult or find it refreshing or find it mystifying?
Yeah, it's a surprise to me actually to be there and see the very little number of Christians. Um, I was not able to experience directly about in some other villages of Pakistan, particularly in Punjab, where this colony of Christians was being burned on the accusation of blasphemy. I don't have any experience with that, and there is not much cases in Sindh on that cases of blasphemy. But it really like struck me to see them like living together in a colony because they're kind of being together in that small part of the city, and there are cleaners. They are usually the cleaners in the city, and people like Muslims despise them because it's a very dirty job. So yeah, it's somehow for me there's a kind of a refreshing side to see that Muslims is the majority of that country. The difference, but at the same time there is also a part of me with it it's kind of sad because the minority of the country was not properly treated justly. Yeah, they are the one who really suffered, and um, education, there is no much opportunity for education, land, work, and all, so they just kind of cyclic way of life living in poverty.
And yet, I think at the same time, also you must notice that among the Hindu people, among some of the Muslim people, there
Hmm.
is tremendous goodness,
Hmm.
and you're faced with the prospect that tremendous goodness can grow out
Hmm.
of a background and out of a culture which is totally different from the one in which you learn goodness and you
Hmm.
learn what is good and what is wrong.
Hmm.
Did this surprise you at all?
Yeah, actually, before leaving to Pakistan, I actually thought that the that Filipinos is really hospitable, but in Pakistan, most they are like a Muslim country, but very hospitable. Like Muslims, they just they're very friendly, probably the most friendly people in the world, Pakistanis. And yeah, that surprised me. Of course, there are also kind of stereotypes of this place not safe and all. When I was there, I did not feel really threatened. I did not feel that I am in danger.
Yes.
I always feel that I was safe in that place, and people are very very friendly. So Muslims, Hindus, the joy of the Hindus probably would really draw me. They are really people for me who are really like, the joy is really the true manifestation, while Muslims are a little bit more reserved and not like on their laughing that one. But the Hindus is very very much happy people, joyful people. Yeah. Mm.
Well, now you're back in Manila.
Mm.
You've just reached the first major milestone in becoming a priest. And what does the future hold for you? What the next 12 months, for example, what does that hold for you?
Yeah. This is a new ministry that I will be. So I hope that I hope to work in a parish where the Columbans also in Malate, and I hope that I will learn a lot of things. I hope that I will be more kind of open to ask help for fellow Columbans and the parish team, whatever, that I'll become more open and humble to learn from them and to learn from the people who are working in the parish. So, yes, to make me more prepared for the coming for the priesthood ordination. Yeah, and I am confident that the Columbans, working with the Columbans, would um, offer me lots of learnings. Much more knowing about myself, and to you know um, coordinating, working, collaborating at the parish level. Yeah.
And ordination may come round about when? About what
For
date?
they they don't have yet for the priesthood ordination, no schedule yet, but as usual here in the Philippines, it's always in my parish. And that's hope also that will be pushed through, because of course Philippines is one of the country in the world where pandemic,
Yes.
coronavirus is all over. So yeah, I hope and pray that it will be a little bit more
Yeah.
settled. And yeah,
And
okay.
many areas are shut down right now, I believe,
Mm.
including in Mindanao.
Yes, yes, because they receive vaccines, but before, the priority here is here in Manila. But before, they just kind of get a bit of a number of vaccines, but now most of the cases are from there in Mindanao, the cities there. Mhm.
Anyway, Jerry, it's delightful to speak with you. And once again, congratulations on your diaconal ordination. And we hope that you're able to celebrate your ordination to the priesthood in your home parish, that all your 5 sisters and your brother, your
Mhm.
mother and father can attend, and also those people who are in grades 1 and 2 with you that laughed at you when you said you wanted to be a priest. We hope
Mhm.
they can attend with you. So congratulations and the best of luck in the future.
Thank you, Father Jim. Thank you for having me and being able to share my story also on this. Yeah.
Our guest today on Meet at Columban has been Jerry Lohera. He's just been ordained a deacon in the Philippines, and he's been our guest on Meet at Columban. I'm Jim Mulroney.